The Isle of Wight is a unique environment in which to stage entertainment and sporting events. With so much of the island designated as an area of outstanding natural beauty, the island has so much to offer event organisers and visitors who come to the island to enjoy the range of events on offer here.
It's such a beautiful place to hold different events, not only the walking and cycling, but we've got the music festivals now, the festival, lots of other sort of like fringe music festivals. And it's fantastic because you couldn't be in a better place than the Isle of Wight. It's actually the best place to be in England, I think.
We live in one of the most beautiful gems of a spot in the world. And I sometimes pinch myself because here we are in a wonderful place. And so to bring people to it and share it with the sorts of people who would come to a film festival, I'm sure that would encourage great interest in the island.
However, having all this natural beauty means it's important to ensure that the vast array of events held here don't damage the island's heritage.
We do actually promote and emphasise the countryside code, and we just do ensure that if anyone comes down here to walk or to cycle, that they actually adhere to that, especially if they're going across fields.
If you look at this field now, there's not one scrap of rubbish on this field from last year, and we had a team that went through here with a fine tooth comb and picked up every single piece of rubbish or every glass, cup, spoon.
Local produce and services are an important part of island events, and most of the events organisers we spoke to try to use local businesses as much as possible.
Our whole sort of ethos has always been, let's work with everyone, from local food to local traders and, craftsmen, and trying to keep it as much Isle of Wight based as possible.
We try as hard as we can to make sure that the majority of the food and produce sold is from local suppliers and local sources. It's a very, very important marketplace for some of the island's food producers.
This extends to local facilitation, and island event organisers work closely with transport operators.
If we do any local event, we often ask the ferry companies if they want to get involved or want to, have profile. And they do so. Whiteling are very proactive in that respect, and we enjoy working with them. They're very keen to promote us, in Portsmouth and Lymington and on the south coast through their mainland publications. They tell people about our events. They put their kind of money in the pot to help us put them on a little bit and market them a bit more successfully. So ferries are very, very useful. So if we can drive extra, day visitor traffic to a small event like the garden show, for example, then they become very important to us.
Not only do they become important to that specific event, but they also play a large part in the number of visitors to the island each year, and in turn the overall island economy.
There was a study it's a little bit out of date now, it's done back in 2000, but it looked at the impact of yachting, general yachting on the island, to the Isle of Wight economy, and that indicated a figure of £58.3 million. That's looking at things like media coverage, people coming back to Cowes or the island because of what they've seen on the television from events like Cowes Week, or coming back for repeat visits after events like Cowes Week.
Getting large-scale events off the ground can be tough, and it's the Isle of Wight Council who decide if the event can go ahead or not, as John Curd, organiser of Summer Madness, found out.
One has to approach the council. Firstly, they decide whether you're capable of doing it or not, experience-wise, and they check into your background and previous experience. And we just approached the council. They initially weren't very interested because, in their opinion, this is not the right site for any sort of event. But we explained to them that it was going to be a small event, 10, 12,000 people. And they said, as long as you keep it to that amount, capacity, then fine.
But for all the negatives, David Holmes is positive about the support he receives from the council.
The Isle of Wight Council are very supportive of the festival. They help us with things like the bike racks and the various departments of the council. There's a great deal they get a lot of bad press with their red tape and bureaucracy. And quite frankly, the volume of form filling is pretty daunting. My worry there is that it would put off other people from doing major events. But in reality, all the departments, from the Fire and Rescue Service to the licensing department to the leader himself, David Pugh, they have always been very, very supportive of the Garlic Festival.
Rob DeBank explained that even after 7 years, there's still a lot of red tape to negotiate.
Ever since we first came onto the island and started Bestival, 7 years ago now, then you know, pretty much everyone from the council, fire, police, ambulance, ferries have all been kind of up for a conversation with us. But you know, in the early days, it was obviously they didn't know who we really were. You know, obviously my sort of Radio 1 credentials helped a little bit in that there was some sort of story there, but we had no sort of proven track record of doing a festival, or that we actually knew what we were doing. And it's kind of grown until now. You know, all those links are really solid. You know, I feel that we're a real part of the island's culture, and you don't get any kind of any favours. You still have to work for everything. You know, you still have to go through the same health and safety. There's an awful lot of stuff that you know, red tape and everything that you have to go through with any council. And you know, the police bills are, you know, it's still big. You know, we have to have a mobile hospital on site. So, you know, you're still paying a lot of money for all these things, but yeah, it's a success, so can't complain.
Large-scale events are expensive to run. There is always an element of risk involved.
Everyone who does an event has got to take a bit of risk, unfortunately. You know, if the weather goes bad and people don't come, or we don't get enough ticket sales, there is a risk element. And any sensible business, you know, has to be a little open-minded if they want to tackle open-air events. If everyone wanting to take no risk at all, no events would ever happen, because they would never get off the ground. They're very costly and very time-consuming to organise.
For anyone that's looking to do it, you just need to be kind of brave. You need to have really good financial support. You know, festivals aren't cheap. You know, it's millions of pounds to put on a festival over 40,000 people, and to even start a 5,000 capacity festival, you need, you know, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds. So you need financial security in it, and you know, you need a good bank manager.
The marketing of island events is usually done through a mixture of local, national and international media. Darren Cool believes one of the most effective places to market is local publications.
About 25% of our marketing gets spent, you know, in the local press, and the local people are very, very important to us. Last year showed how important it was. We did some surveying and of our own, and it showed that a lot more people last year were staying with their own families and relatives here on the island, their friends, rather than in guest houses and caravan parks. So if we've made a good pitch to the island, it makes us, you know, very high on the list of things that they would recommend to the people that are staying with them. So, you know, it's important to have a relationship with the local people.
Marketing the festival, you know, again is a challenge to us, because of course we're a tiny team. We have a very limited budget, and so we have to confine ourselves to areas where we feel we'll get the best return most quickly. And this year we have been very blessed to have a very good website, which drives a lot of traffic to us. And that's very important. We have a very good Twitter page, and we tweet, and we've got a Facebook page, and that, you know, that does help to promote the festival.
Despite the economic difficulties faced by businesses worldwide, many of the island's main events are thriving. Festival has sold out for the 4th year running, and entry numbers for Cows Week remain strong.
In 2009, despite the global recession, entry numbers held up actually really well. We were within 10% of what we'd traditionally expect to see, which all things considered was a pretty good place to be. And I think, you know, people also need a little bit of respite as well. You know, there's all this doom and gloom going on everywhere, and people just need to spend a little bit of time doing the things they're passionate about, and Cows Week is one of those things. So.
The Isle of Wight's location helps to market events to visitors, as Rob explains.
The Isle of Wight has a sort of area of outstanding natural beauty, and the whole sort of story of it being, you know, a ferry ride away and having this holiday feeling has definitely helped in the early days. You know, you get on the ferry, you know you're going on a holiday or a break, and you sort of leave everything else behind you, and I still feel like that. After having come here hundreds of times, I still sort of feel that getting on the ferry is a sort of release from the sort of normal daily life in London or wherever you come from, and that's really great.
The island offers event organisers a unique and beautiful location, and in return we benefit from the large number of tourists who come here to enjoy world-class events, and who so often return to enjoy the island again and again.